End-to-end encryption was removed from Instagram. Should we care? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Meta made news in recent weeks by announcing that end-to-end encryption would be removed from direct messages, or DMs, in Instagram. Yes, that's news. But it's not the news that you think it is. The real news is that few people, if any, were using it, even if they thought they were. Now, end-to-end encryption means that the messages are encrypted at the source and can be decrypted only at the destination. That means only you and the person you're messaging can actually read the message. This prevents interception by third parties and prevents Meta, the company providing the service, from being able to read your messages along the way. Standard encryption, as opposed to end-to-end, typically means that encrypting your connection to Instagram so that the message never travel unencrypted on the internet. However, once they reach Meta's server, they're decrypted and then re-encrypted before being sent on to the recipient. In this scheme, there's absolutely a window there in the middle where the message is completely visible to Meta. Now, on the surface, you might not care, thinking you don't have anything interesting to say. Meta, Facebook, or Instagram is welcome to examine what you might consider inconsequential conversations. There are a couple of things worth considering, though. All of your conversations could be exposed publicly if there was a data breach. This is unlikely, but still theoretically possible. Not everyone is comfortable with Meta possibly using your conversations to profile you in unknown ways and for unknown purposes. And of course, law enforcement could require that Meta turn over your conversation. End-to-end encryption solves these issues. Most people already assume that their conversations are private. They may even have heard that since Instagram supported end-to-end encryption, that it was turned on. Well, it wasn't. In order for end-to-end encryption to be in play, you actually had to explicitly turn it on. Most people didn't realize this, so most didn't turn it on. In turn, Meta removed the feature completely, claiming that it had a low adoption rate. Here's the more important story. It's not enough for end-to-end encryption to be supported. It needs to be turned on. Some apps, like Signal, do this by default. WhatsApp claims to do the same these days, though there may be other privacy-related issues I'll talk about in a moment. Text messaging using SMS is not encrypted at all. Its more powerful replacement, RCS text messaging, is in the process of enabling end-to-end encryption, particularly for cross-platform support, Android to and from Apple, for example, but we can't assume that it's encrypted right now. If encryption matters to you, make sure you understand how the app you're using works, and if it's not to your satisfaction, choose another app that does. As it decommissioned encrypted DMs in Instagram, Meta simply recommended that you use WhatsApp, another Meta service instead, which has end-to-end encryption enabled by default. There are, of course, issues. WhatsApp is owned by Meta. That's enough to throw many people off. If you've enabled backups, those backups are probably being kept unencrypted. And even though they can't see the contents of your messages, Meta can see who you're messaging and can associate your Meta/Facebook profile with your conversations. Now, of course, if you're okay with that, WhatsApp probably has the most users of all three services, and it's likely already being used by many of your contacts. On the other hand, if those issues concern you, particularly that last one, then an alternative app like Signal, which goes to much greater lengths to know and track as little as possible about you, might be the way to go. The EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, has a great write-up on using WhatsApp securely, how to use WhatsApp. We'll have a link in the description. Does this really matter? Well, it's hard to say. The most important message here is this. If you think you are protected by end-to-end encryption in any service, you might not be. You need to double check. Honestly, for most of the people, most of the time, it just may not matter that much. Who we're talking to and what tool they use is often a greater consideration, though it's still important to keep in mind what it is we're sharing in that conversation. People who should be concerned include journalists and activists and dissidents and anyone sharing a sensitive personal situation, like discussions about divorce or anything that could be eventually discoverable by attorneys. Anyone sharing genuinely private information. For true end-to-end encryption, my recommendation is Signal. It offers full end-to-end encryption by default. It is open source, nonprofit, and independent of any big tech company. It's widely regarded as the most trustworthy option. It's used by journalists and activists the world over. Other options, and note that this is always a constantly changing field, so information can change. WhatsApp offers end-to-end encryption, and its enormous user base makes it practical, but it's owned by Meta. Telegram is another popular service and mentioned often, but end-to-end encryption is used only in secret chats mode and not in the regular chats mode or group chats. iMessage from Apple offers end-to-end encryption between Apple devices. It falls back to unencrypted SMS when messaging non-Apple users, though this is changing as RCS interoperability gains traction. Viber uses end-to-end encryption by default for one-on-one messages. Wire uses end-to-end encryption by default. This is a business-oriented service with a much smaller user base. Threema uses end-to-end encryption by default. It's a paid app and it doesn't require a phone number. Session offers end-to-end encryption with no phone number required. There's no central service, and once again, this one also has a small user base. Regardless of which tools you use, there's always a catch. Here, there are two. First, you and the people you want to communicate with must use the same app. If encryption is optional or only available for some functions, you need to ensure you're all on the same encrypted page. Second, the app itself you're using has to be able to decrypt the message in order to display them for you to see. That means you're trusting the app and the security of your device overall, not to simultaneously squirrel away a copy of the unencrypted data. Unless you're in one of the groups I mentioned earlier who should be using end-to-end encryption, don't panic. Even if you are, just make certain you're using the tool that meets your privacy needs. When in doubt, again, I recommend Signal, but there are many, many others as well. But above all, understand what protections are provided by the tools you're using and act accordingly. For comments, for updates, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/192475. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.